Something's rotten in the kingdom of Zoravia! No, not that. Beloved King Carl's older brother Lubeck has launched a series of attacks to try to capture the throne. From secret hideouts across the sea in Fountain Park, Illinois, and disguised as an ill-mannered school principal, Lubeck plots his next dastardly feat. No, not that feat. That feat! Only Zoravia's top secret agent, Princess Natasha, who also happens to be King Carl's daughter and Lubeck's niece, can stop Lubeck and save Zoravia! Disguised as an exchange student. No, not that disguise. That disguise! Princess Natasha lives with the O'Brien family and goes to Fountain Park High! Unbeknownst to everyone else except her sidekick, fellow Zoravian secret agent Oleg, she battles Lubeck and foils his dastardly plans. For she is Princess Natasha! Student, secret agent, princess.
Hey guys, any of you remember that Flash animated series Princess Natasha? No? Yeah, well, neither do I. Okay, for real. Back in the 2000s, before the internet and technology evolved to the level it is now, a very popular subgenre on the internet was Flash animated series. I'm pretty sure I don't have to go into detail on what Adobe Flash is, especially for people of my generation, but basically it was a very popular form of software. In that era of the internet, it seemed almost everything, like games and websites, were all coded in Flash and or Shockwave. And for many, it was one of the best parts of the internet. Sadly, at the end of 2020, Flash was discontinued for browsers, and only through Flash Projector or third-party software like Ruffle is it at all usable anymore. But games were only a part of what made Flash so popular. It was also regularly used for lower grade or simpler animations back in the early 2000s. Amateur content creators often used Flash to animate shorts, and because of their simplicity, it didn't require much hardware resources to run, and they were easily embedded into websites.
My name is Duke Nukem, and I am Doom Marine. Call me Walter.
And I'm Commander Keen.
We live here in Striking.
Morning, night, and afternoon.
I'm so full of YouTube, and I love this cheesy violent episode of Strike Tunes.
Higher quality videos back then had to be downloaded, and even with YouTube, when that finally came around, content distribution was still heavily dependent on downloading. And that's what gave us the software that even the big studios would use today. Yep, Warner Brothers, Disney, and more made original Flash animation for whatever reason back in the day. They were, well, it was the early days of the internet, and it was pretty much what was expecting from them at the time. Though admittingly, they usually used better animation and was better than what others made, or one would hope anyway. Flash has been used in mainstream animation as well. Even today, there are a number of shows that use Flash, but obviously has become more sophisticated and thus quality has improved. But even now, some of them sort of have that classic aesthetic that Flash was known for back in the day. Which leads us to today's subject. Back in 2003 to 2006, AOL had created a, franchise? I don't know what to call this. Anyway, AOL created a Flash animated series through their website at the time called KOL. I guess Kids Online, I don't know. And that was Princess Natasha. I don't really recall this. Princess Natasha was a simple Flash animated series. The show is about a princess of the fictitious country, Zoravia, acting as a foreign exchange student, also acting as a secret agent. Her mission, as it were, was to stop her country's former intelligence agency's director, who happens to be her uncle, Lubeck, whose goal is to overthrow Zoravia and become ruler. Supposedly, she's the only one who can stop him because she became an agent after he lost his position with the agency. I don't know, pretty lame contrivance, but whatever. Anyway, she acts as an exchange student in the United States in Zoravia, Illinois, don't ask. The show, as far as I can tell, is just her thwarting her evil uncle's plans in every episode. Okay, I admit, I did see some of the series back in the day when I saw when it aired on Cartoon Network, but not online. Oh no, seriously, this show aired on TV and I barely remember it. All I remember about it, other than the look of it and the name and its stupid tagline, was the weird time it aired. You see, due to it being a web series originally, all the episodes are very short, and CN didn't air more than one episode. I don't recall when they aired it, but it was like 3 in the afternoon or something weird like that. You know, when most kids weren't watching TV yet. not exactly prime time. The only reason why I'm looking back on this is because while I was virtual window shopping on eBay, I came across the video game for this stupid show on the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS, and very vague memories returned, and I just couldn't believe this show that I don't remember or anyone talking about got a video game. But doing some research, I saw that AOL tried to really make something out of this series for some reason. They had a comic book, chapter books, and apparently there was discussion for a furniture line. Though doing some quick searches, I couldn't actually find anything suggesting that no product of the character ever came to be. I guess AOL was trying to jump into the whole 2000s trend of child, adolescent, secret agents thing. Really? Did they really think that Princess Natasha had a chance against Codename Kids Next Door, Kim Possible, or even Totally Spies? Yeah, right. So either this show actually had some minor popularity and thus a developer saw potential for the license, or AOL hired whatever desperate game studio to make a game to act as some sort of advertising for the IP in hopes it would become something more. Either way, it failed. But curiosity got the better of me, and let's see if this forgettable web series actually had a decent video game. Well, the Game Boy Advance version of it anyway. So the plot, if you really want to call it that, basically the King of Zoravia somehow realizes that the citizens of the United States, at least I'm assuming, there's more evidence of that being the case than the actual country Zoravia, are turning into crazed zombies. Lubeck, again the villain, is accomplishing this with robots. I guess he merged Cyberdyne's systems and Umbrella, I don't know. Oleg, Natasha's assistant, just so happens to have a dezombifier. I'm not going to comment on that.
What do you think? A spaceship is just gonna appear out of the blue? Are you kidding?
Seriously? He just happens to make one of these things for the heck of it, and not only that, happens to have it on him, and it's the right antidote for the people? What? Did Lubeck make this form of his zombie virus back when he worked for the Zoravian government, and Oleg made an antidote for it just in case some time ago? I'm just using the information I have to make some sort of coherency out of this. I think I'm putting more effort in putting together this plot than the writers themselves did. And as far as the intro is concerned, that's really all we have to go off of. From there, we're sent with the map overlay with all the stages. Or rather, a third of them. I'll explain as I go. You don't have to go in any real order, even though all the stages are numbered by sections. So you just select a stage and you're brought to Oleg, who will give you mostly useless information about the enemies or stage, and then you can select some equipment. And I would be blunt, most of these weapons are pointless. Only a few of them are actually worth your time, and even when you upgrade them, you might as well just ignore them. So to start, we get a useful one despite what Oleg tells you about it, and a useless one despite what Oleg tells you about it. The Magneton Ray, which doesn't do anything as far as I can tell, and the Tiny Shatter is basically a short-range automatic gun. So this is the game. Like, completely. Don't expect much variation on this one, guys, because this is pretty much all the game has to offer. As you can see, it's a platform beat-em-up within a closed space. Each stage is roughly a screen and a half to maybe 2 screens big, and that's all there really is to say about it. In every stage, you have some hostile robots to contend with, and they don't change too much as the game progresses. Despite the plot introduced, not every stage will have zombies to contend with. Many of them are just an area with a bunch of robots and you just have to destroy them all. Each stage has 3 segments, and once again the objective is always the same. Destroy all the robots and occasionally cure a zombie or 2.
Oh, why do that? Why don't we just blow my brains out now and save yourself some time?
I'm joking, but actually that's sort of an option. Actually, you have 3 options. A, you can ignore them and just destroy all the robots and progress to the next stage. B, you can cure all of them. Or C, you can just let all the robots completely infect them, indicated by life bars, and then they will become what the manual calls green zombies. And then you can kill them with normal means. There's problems with options A and C, however. You see, as the plot indicates, you need to cure them. And killing all the robots before curing the citizen isn't an option because it isn't, so that strategy's out. But if you progress too far into the game and you don't cure enough, or anyone for that matter, you will get a game over. Just something to note. Yeah, you get like this alternate ending on how Lubeck succeeds in taking over the city or something. I don't know, like it really matters. So, fine. How do I use this de-zombifier or whatever? Well, I have no idea. Oleg does give us useless hints on things such as how to jump and how to kick, but as far as I can recall, and from what I've seen when editing all this together, the game never tells you how to use it. I had to look in the manual to find it. Thank goodness this game's worth essentially nothing, so getting a copy with the manual wasn't a difficult task. But seriously though, the game doesn't tell you, not even in the option. Honestly, the manual didn't help much as I was playing on a Game Boy Advance player and the L button is now the Y button on the GameCube controller, but regardless, the game should still say how to cure the zombie somewhere if that's the main objective. Also, using this de-zombifier thing is a pain to use. You see, this spray needs to recharge or something. So after using it on a low health zombie or multiple zombies and failing to convert them to life or whatever, you have to wait a few seconds for it to be usable again. It could be considered to make the game more challenging, but this isn't a challenge. It's just annoying and not in a fun way. Anyway, this game is boring as all get out. This game doesn't look all that exciting or mentally stimulating or challenging because it's not. This is the only game, I swear when I say this, that I didn't die a single time when I played it to its entirety besides the bonus stages. The only reason why I got a game over stream was because when I first started playing this, I didn't cure any of the zombies. And this is pretty much it. There are a couple of variants, but they are pretty much the same as the regular game, just with different rules. Provided you're remaining consistent on curing zombies and progressing, you'll unlock some bonus stages. Here you will get some kind of variation of the game you're already playing. One example is curing all zombies without getting hit by a robot once. Another is killing all these robots without getting hit once. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's kind of an award in doing these pointless variations of other levels, however. Here you can unlock upgrades for your gadgets you already have, or even stat increases like improved jump. Don't unlock special gauntlets or anything like that, so don't expect a reliable melee attack in this game, but still. As you continue doing the same monotonous game over and over again, occasionally more of the plot will unfold, but I can't say that it'll make the game any more fun or interesting in any way. All you really need to know is that Lubeck is using giant robots in every part of the town and you have to destroy all of them. If you actually watched a few episodes like I did, or did any additional research, you'll see that some of the other characters turn into zombies or whatever, and Natasha, Lubeck, and Ulrich have a dialogue about something or other, and then we just move on. As you progress, you'll unlock new gadgets, and like I said, most of them are pretty useless or awkward, that they don't seem to have much of a purpose. One of them is a bouncing blaster, which is a bomb thing that is not that powerful, a dart dasher, which is basically a longer range version of the tiny shatter, the electric blast, which is basically a useful version of the magnetron, and a freeze-o-matic, which is mostly useless despite sounding like it could be a useful weapon. No, seriously, there are only like a couple of enemies that can actually be frozen. It doesn't really do any damage, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And that's pretty much the whole game. The only thing worth mentioning is the bosses, if that's worth mentioning at all. After doing all of the stages in one area, you have to fight a giant robot. All of them are just enlarged versions of regular enemies. The programmers clearly forgot to give them larger life bars because they take just as many hits as the regular enemies, so these boss fights are just regular stages with just one really big enemy. Very creative. There's one at the end of every single section of the game, and then, well, we're done. And that's it. We're done. That's all the game. I'm not kidding. It's almost like the Flash show in a full retail game form, except the developers really didn't have anything to work with, so they just took what was probably supposed to be a Flash game, turned it into a handheld game at the time, and tried to sell it. I have no idea how this was supposed to work. But we are not done. We still have to talk about the DS game.
Son of a... Come on, it'll be fun.
Actually, there's nothing really much to comment on. While I've played it, there's nothing really to say. It's literally the same game with only a couple of differences. For one, the game has a saving feature while the advanced version uses a password system. The other difference is that it has more animated, or rather more fluid animated scenes, while the advanced version uses just screenshots. Otherwise, as far as I can tell, they are pretty much the same game. Good news is, both games are essentially worthless, so it doesn't really matter which one you get in the grand scheme of things. You know, it's not hard to make a simple single-screen game fun. Bubble Bobble is a pretty fun game on occasion, and that's literally just one screen per stage while fighting enemies. I was able to find the archived website and look at a couple of Flash games based on the character as well, but I can't say that it was even really worth mentioning beyond the fact that they exist, and with proper tools, I guess they could be playable. I'm not really aware of a fan base still being alive for this, if there was even one to begin with. Like I said, I don't remember it being anything noteworthy back in the day, but it has some kind of footprint in media, if only because AOL forced it to have one. It's not like it had competition or anything.